Summer is just a couple of weeks away. That means we must have moved into the month of June, June 24th. Wow. Think about this. This year is kind of flying by. And even though the temperatures may get high, but officially, if you look at the calendar, I think summer starts the 21st. It's our first weekend in the month of June, and we happen to be rolling with our episode, the first episode in the month of June when Black Men Talk. I'm Mark Elliott. And I'm going to bring someone a little bit that was on years ago. And when she was on, ooh, told such a dramatic, great story that had always been resonate with me. I've been thinking about a lot of things she said. And from time to time, I'd even quoted some of the stuff she said on different episodes. But I wanted to get her back. And think about having her come back on. I thought about what the word friend really means because a lot of times we look to have a lot of friends, but are they really truly your friends? In a sense, because they know you, we think they like you, they feel a certain way about you. You think, okay, that's a friend, but in reality, are they really a friend? Because I think if we really start to kind of narrow things down, what friend or what a friend really means, we realize we don't have that many friends. And if you're, blessed to have just a few, I mean, real friends, yeah, you are blessed and you're fortunate. And I consider this lady to be a real friend. When I say that we don't talk often, from time to time we check on each other, and we're happy to know that each one is doing well. And I'm talking about Lady Alice. I'm going to welcome you back to When Black Men Talk. How you been? How things are going?
I'm excellent. I retired in July, last July, and I didn't really know what freedom and peace of mind felt like until I did that. And I didn't even know this feeling existed because I'm free to do what I want to do, what I need to do, what brings me joy and peace. And my marriage has gotten even better. I mean, it was good, but now it's like we're in another phase and I didn't think we could even move higher than we were. But yeah, we're good. I'm excellent.
That's part of the reason why you're here because your marriage to me represents true love. Not that it was perfect, but when you was talking about it and how you spoke of how it went through different things and how it was growing and how it manifests, blew me away. When I think of true love, again, it's a profound and beautiful connection that goes beyond mere attraction. And to me, they're the ultimate components for a healthy, vibrant, long-term relationship. So we'll go right to, to the marriage in a sense. And let's do this. Let's go back to when Lady Alice was a little girl, because I think men and women, we all kind of vision married differently when we were younger. So let's go back to what you may have thought of a marriage would be when you were, a young lady.
I never knew what marriage was. My father and mother were separated. He was abusive. He used to beat her. I didn't see love. They were not together. When they were together, I remember I was little, I would be upstairs and I would hear his key. When you hear his keys jingling, he carried this ring of keys. He was about to start beating my mother. He was an alcoholic. My mother was really young when they got married, so I didn't have a vision of what marriage was at all when I was young. I just know I
Mm.
wanted love at growing up, and I didn't know what it was. I had to figure that one out for myself, and it took forever, but now I'm finally here. So,
Mm. Wow. That I'm listening to that and my heart goes out to you to hear, sounds of keys and then realize at that point what was going to happen after that. Wow.
yeah, yeah.
And, okay. Well, with that in mind, what were some of the things that from that, you spoke of love when you decided when you were asked to be, um, your husband, your husband now's wife to take his hand in marriage. What were some of the things if you look back now, what were some of the things about you that you brought into the marriage that might need a little correction later on?
Well, and I didn't even realize it until we started reflecting. I bought crazy. I bought demands and selfishness, and I thought I was perfect. I would look at what I thought were his flaws, not really realizing that I had flaws of my own. I just didn't know, and it wasn't because I was being a horrible person. It's like you don't know what you don't know until I started going to therapy. And my goodness, I mean, it was like that was the first night after I went to therapy that I slept like a baby. It was beautiful, and then I just started reading a lot and just reflecting on how our relationship was, and the fact that he was on a fast attack in the Navy. He would be gone for 6 months at a time. And the pictures that I have of our daughter with him, she's crying in every one of them because she didn't know who he was. So we really didn't have a normal life in the very beginning. So I think that I know that added to the problems that we had of not communicating, not really know. We didn't really know each other. It was crazy, you know, because I was in the military myself. That's when we met. Was a cryptologic operator, and I worked shifts: 2 days, two mids, two eves, and 3 days off. So we're really, really lucky to be where we are now with all of that turmoil. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Until we started growing, until I started wanting something different, something better, because I knew that my life should not be painful like that. You know, I mean, you have your moments, but I don't believe that's what we're here for. So I just wanted to make him happy, and I wanted to be happy, and I didn't want it to depend on him to do that for me. I mean, I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. I needed to make myself happy with me. My happiness needs to come from me first, not anyone else. And I think that's the mistake that I made in the beginning that we make. If you're not doing exactly what I want you to do, then I'm mad at you. And it's like, no, what is it that's missing in me that makes me need to have everything from him? Because that must have been exhausting for him. And I even mentioned it sometime this week. I said, I remember some of the things I used to say and do. And I said, oh, I feel really bad for you, you know, because I know I didn't look at myself at all because I thought I knew everything. And I remember that attitude, the things I said. So I felt every once in a while, I feel bad about it. And we talk about it.
Wow. There's a lot to dissect there. I want to kind of walk through. Let me ask this before I start to do that. How long have you been married?
42 years, which is weird. It's like, shouldn't I be really old? And actually, we're in our 60s, but it
Hmm.
doesn't feel like that. It does. Sometimes I forget my age. Like the other day, I went on my calculator. I was like, crap, I'm that old. But my life is good, so I'll take it.
That's beautiful. 42 years. That's beautiful. Now, you spoke of something I heard, and it's that to me is kind of the one of the pillars here. I heard accountability at where you started to take accountability for yourself. And realistically, at what point, I know you talked about therapy after 40, when you were married for 42 years, at what point in those 42 years where you open that door at therapy to start taking accountability? And before you do answer that, let's make this a two-part question.
Hmm.
Before you answer that, what what started the idea and what drove you and your husband to go to therapy? Where did that concept, where that idea come from?
Well, here's the thing. He didn't go. He's not one to share his emotions with strangers and everything. So I looked at it a different way. I said, I know I need to go for my own head. And, because I was having ups and downs and mood swings and depression and everything. And it's and once I went to therapy, I realized it's from all my experiences growing up. I didn't have a role model. Uh, and my things that used to make me happy was shopping. So, I mean, I used to shop, shop, shop all the time. But when I got to the point, and this freaked me out, I went shopping one time. I came home and I wasn't happy. I said, oh, something's really wrong, you know? So that was it. It was like, shopping's not making me happy. What do I have next? What do I have? So I went to therapy. And through those sessions, my doctor made me realize a lot of things. You know what I mean? He listened, and I had aha moments that I didn't realize existed in me. So I knew I wanted to be happy. I kept hanging on to our marriage because in the beginning, I said, "There's something here." Some little voice, my little angel, kept saying, "There's a reason I'm still here. There's a reason that I'm going through all this, even though I was sad and getting depressed, and sometimes not feeling the love I thought I should have." When I realized I needed to love myself first, then that softened me and made me more accountable to the things I did and what I had been doing to him and saying to him. Because now I can think of something that pops in my head every once in a while. I'm like, well, that was just mean. That was just awful. Why did I say that? And because I was hurting, I wanted him to hurt. And I think that's what some of us do. But then I got to the point where I didn't want to hurt him anymore. He's a good man. He's worked the entire time we've been together. He's getting ready to get his second pension. He's not a drinker. He's never cheated. He just works hard. And he had some stuff that we just talked about recently that he hadn't shared. And once he shared that, oh my gosh, that we're now at this plateau of everything. It's like, he's really open more than ever. So both of us, we had these long conversations months ago, talking till like 2 in the morning about everything. And he and I'm like, oh, he's really sharing every little intimate thing. But then it got to be a little bit too much for me. I'm like, okay, we can stop now. I don't need to know your history about everything. I don't need, we overdid it kind of. And
Hmm.
yeah, but now we're good. We're at a even keel, and it's just easy for me to talk to him and him to talk to me. And yeah, I'm just different now. We're just different. I knew if I changed, I felt that if I changed, he would change. Because it's kind of been that way. I'm kind of like leading him to show him he's safe. He can say what he needs to say and talk about whatever. And sometimes we'll get angry, but still, we don't just push away from each other. This is just, we're just being human together, which we didn't have before.
Yeah. Now, how long were you married before you first went to therapy?
We were married like 5 years, 6 years. Yeah.
12 years, 6 years. Okay. It's interesting in hearing that, after 40, close to 42 years or 42 years, he's in some ways really opening up now. And I've always said this on this, platform and numerous times throughout my life. It's so interesting that communication is the fundamental for any relationship, the foundation. But yet, as people, as two people, we just don't really kind of roll into it easily. We don't do it. We don't take it. And for different reasons. And, I know you and I were speaking earlier, and you may have said, you're not afraid. It might have been a time you were afraid to say something that's going to hurt his feelings, or you kind of held back, and I think a lot of people fall in different ways of not communicating. But I always wondered, how could you be in love with someone and not basically open up and be an open book and be afraid to be an open book? And I know that's scary, but I've always kind of questioned how does that happen? I've had conversations with people over the years, and I would tell them, and they would say, "Well, I can't do it." I said, then I would say, "I don't think you really love them." They'd be like, "What are you talking about?" Because to me, I feel like when you're in love with someone, I'm not saying it's easy, but then again, because it's not easy doesn't mean it shouldn't be done. But how is it that when we're in love with someone, we just can't come home and just drop this on the table? This is who I am. This is who I am. I
Because
need you to, because I'll listen.
because I wanted him to see me as a perfect person. And I didn't want him to know I went to the bathroom and pooped. You know what I mean? It's like
Woo.
I had not had such a good relationship. I had not had a good relationship. And I didn't want to mess this up. I just wanted him to come home and be happy all the time, regardless of what I sacrificed in the process.
Hmm.
And I didn't even know that. I didn't even know how to put it into words until like maybe now. I wanted, that's so weird. I mean, I never even thought of it that way. I wanted him to think I was perfect. He would come home and, oh
And
my God, I'm embarrassed to say this.
no, but
I would help him take his shoes off. Oh my God, that's not
wow.
even me. That is still not even me. I just want to do everything. And anytime we got mad or angry about something, I was like, oh God, we're gonna break up. We're gonna break up. Because that's all I knew. That's all I saw in my life
Okay.
growing up.
So why would you want him to think that you're perfect?
Because I thought if I were perfect, that means that I'm worthy of his love, him being with me being with him, and or that he would leave because I'd never
Hmm.
seen any long term relationships. And yeah, oh my gosh, I forgot all about that. Yeah,
Um, it's interesting. Again, we go back to the childhood. We go back to what we see and basically how it permeates our life throughout we grow. But it's interesting, and I hear you say that, and I'm gonna roll you back to when you, even with that, and I think this goes on in a lot of situations. Even you wanted him to see you as perfect, and you was afraid of things not maybe working out. But on the flip side, you were something that wasn't necessarily good for the relationship. Now, we can make sense of that. Like we could try, but that's something. How does that happen? How does that? I love that you say you're taking off your shoes and you're coming out. Don't change that, please. That's great. I mean, man, as
not anymore, not
oh,
anymore.
okay, all right,
Take
man. We
your own
love
damn
that
shoes
type of
off.
stuff. Oh, look out, look out.
I'm not
But
cooking
how does?
tonight.
Oh my goodness. All right. How does it get from? I mean, how does that work on the same? I mean, I know there's two sides to a coin. But how does it work where, okay, you're basically on one side of the coin, you're afraid that it's not going to work out, he's not going to be there. You're showing on somebody different than you. On the other side of the coin, there's not accountability. there is the attitude, etc. How does that work in a daily way? Because I know a lot of people are in that situation. I'm sure in that situation. So if we can kind of explain that a little bit, I think would be great.
I I knew it didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right, and but I didn't know how to fix it. Where now I know that with me being open, I figure I just thought if I start dropping some of this crap that I'm carrying with me and just being myself when he comes home, I think starting with that made the difference. It was slow and gradual, but he's totally open now. Before we both had walls up because of our experiences, and he knows, and I know we talked about it, but we didn't know it at the time.
Hmm. Okay. Wow. Hmm.
Did that answer
I
your question?
No, it did. It did. I just, in a way, because I'm trying to look at it, and maybe I'm looking at it this way, because to me, and it comes from showing people not really who you are. But you were saying earlier on, you were this way, you had an attitude, you was this way. You liked him, but at the same time, you wanted to do things that hurt him. Maybe I should roll with that because I think that's what it is. Because what I'm hearing, and this is not just solo to you, when I say this, I'm hearing that people love the person that they're with, and that is, adorable. But if you're loving the person that you're with, and I understand the stuff that we bring from our past, but how do we love someone that we're with at the same time trying to do things that hurt the person that we're with? Maybe that's a
Because
little
we,
clear.
yeah, no, no, he was not. That would happen when I didn't think he was meeting my expectations, when I felt like I wasn't getting everything that I needed, which was unrealistic because I would watch like Oprah Winfrey, for instance, or
Woo!
soap operas all day because I wasn't working. And he would come home and I'd see all that romance. I'd have seen all the romance on TV and everything, and it's like, and he wasn't that way. And I would try and hurt him by pings, little things I would say, because my expectations weren't being met. But back then, to me, it didn't seem like it was wrong. It's just I was hurting, so let me hurt you. And I didn't want to be that way. I mean, I didn't realize it then because he's always been such a good man. But no, he's done things too, said things too. But I didn't want that kind of a life. I'd grown up, seeing the abuse with my father and my mother and other aunts and uncles and things like that. I didn't want that life. I remember standing in the kitchen when I grew up. After my mom died, we went to New Jersey. I was 12 years old and we lived with my evil stepmother. She was my aunt too. Get this. And
Mm,
I remember seeing my dad. He was making something in the kitchen. And I said, this is not how you're supposed to treat children. Her house, my aunt's house was infested with bugs, roaches. And I was in middle school, and my dad, he was crazy. He would spray the kitchen totally with Raid all over the place and wake us up before we had to go to school like at 2 o'clock in the morning, just the girls, and we'd have to clean everything up and then go to school the next day. So I mean, I went through a lot of crazy. Do you know what I mean? So I was
mm-hmm.
really lost. I was really lost when I finally met John. Um, so yeah, my therapist said that it's so good. I'm so lucky to have turned out the way I am now because of all
Absolutely.
that. He said it could have totally gone, he said he's seen it going totally the other way. But, oh, and he also said it's because of the nurturing, the little bit of nurturing I did get from my mother those first 12 years of my life before she passed away.
Hmm.
That had something. I
Wow.
remember sitting on the floor and her brushing my hair and the sun on my legs. I just remember the good things she did for me, and that's the way I always wanted to be if I ever had children, or I just got something from her.
Hmm. Wow. I want to, man.
Let me know if I go off track. So,
No. That's fine. You're great. That's fine. It's just, yeah, you're telling your story, and he's right. The therapist is right because, based on what was given to you as a child, and one of the things that happens when you and I start talking, you open me up to things that I may have thought I've known, I had no idea about, and I like that, and I do. But meaning when I open up about things about you, and as close to you and I have been and shared different things, I didn't know that much about your childhood. And so when I'm listening and I'm hearing it, you know, it amazes me what you've been through, and then to know you as a person, who you are, the caliber person that you are, what you've grown to be. I would have never thought your childhood would have been that way. And by the
Oh,
grace
it's
of
a lot
God,
more to it. It's a lot more to it.
yeah,
But
yeah. And I'm going to say a little different than what he said. And I understand what your mother did, but by the grace of God, for you to be who you are and to be the woman that you are, the mother that you are, the wife that you are, that's a symbol of God to me because he's right. You could have went so many different ways in your life. Things could have been totally different. And I think a lot of times we look at people when they aren't doing some things we see they should be doing in life. We don't make the connection and go back to why they are this way. But I want to circle back to something you said because there's a little humor in this for me, but I think it's real for a lot of people. You talked about Oprah and television, and I think there goes a lot of false expectations of what a relationship, what a marriage should be.
hmm
And television gives you this idea where it's supposed to be this, it's supposed to be grand. And I always thought this when I was younger. Television always show you these people, they got plenty of time to do all this stuff, to go shopping, get all this thing. But they never show you, they don't show you them working. They don't show you, they don't show you that. They don't show you the
hmm
tough side. They show you all the romantic sides. So it's amazing how it's supposed to be entertainment, but it turns into expectations that
hmm
people are trying to fulfill in their world. And I said this a while ago about Oprah, and it's amazing how she brought therapy to the forefront. But when Oprah did, and I'm a male, so I'm looking at it from a male perspective, she talked to women. There wasn't really much conversations towards men, and it was liberating for some women in a sense, but at the same time, I think it was a lot of misdirection. So that brought on some of these bad expectations, or you're supposed to have this, you're supposed to have this. And one thing I never think I saw her really did, I'm happy that I see that you have done. She never forced women, in my opinion, to take accountability. It's okay you're this way because of this. It's okay this is not happening because of that,
hmm
but never made them look at themselves and go, what am I to do about me? Why can't I improve myself? And do the hard work because that's not easy, I'm sure.
Oh
But
no.
that's and but that expectation of television, that's it because it is pain. And it's to this day, it still does. You look at Netflix, they paint this rosy picture about dating and this and that. It goes this way, and you put that in people's mindset, and they think this is it. I mean, listening to hearing business things say now restaurants aren't basically they're losing money. People aren't spending money out dining out. Why do you think that is? In my opinion, I think there's a couple of reasons behind that. I think people realized during the pandemic, I don't have to run to a restaurant to spend money to get, to basically learn who you are. That's a
hmm
traditional of taking someone out. It's like, I need to know who you are if I start spending all this money on you. A lot of men are thinking this. If I'm be
Right.
dropping down money, I need to know who you are. What are the possibilities? Just because you dress up and put some makeup on, why am I running out to try to impress? And where do we get that concept from? Television.
Yep.
Where do we get that concept from? Basically, you meet someone, you roll them out to dinner. So I don't. A lot of times, and I'm so happy to say that because I don't think a lot of times we understand the damage that television has done with expectations. And I'm gonna add something else to that element. Social media now is doing a huge damage to
hmm
people basically communicating and learning to love one another and be with another. Because now we're listening to idiots talk about things about love, how this should be, don't do this, don't date this if they ain't got this and that. And it's like, at what point are you an individual and learn for yourself? And we don't. We run with the herd. But I'm happy to hear you say that because as a man saying it, it's one thing about Oprah and television. But to hear a woman actually understands that and say it to me, it's remarkable. Because
I'll
if you
never for
watch,
oh, I'm sorry.
no, no, please go on. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I poor John. And we laugh about it now. I remember him coming home saying, "I don't know who I'm gonna come home to," you know,
Woo!
because because like I just turned Oprah off or something. I was making him so crazy. You know what I mean? But you
Now,
know
hang
what,
on a second. Hang on a second.
Mark?
No, hang on a second. No, hang on a second. Hang on a second, sir. Sure. I mean, Lady Alice. Hang on a second. I
Depends on
want to.
what
I
I
want
was
to go.
watching that day.
Yeah, I want to go back because that's a real statement. Because I want to know your reaction when you if you go back to the first time he said that to you. I don't know who I'm going to come home to. What did that make you feel? What did you think? What did that make you feel like hearing that?
I didn't realize what I was doing to him. See, that's the thing. You have to let me know because I don't know what I'm doing. Those things that we made those statements, it was like, huh, he's right. You know what I mean? He's right. And it's not fair to him. It's not fair. I live my life wanting to be the best person that I can be to anybody and everybody. You know what? When I meet people, I mean, I had conversations yesterday when I was in Petco. We were about to adopt a dog that I didn't even go out looking for. Um, and about my life, they talk about their lives, birthdays, family, everything. It's like I run into these people and we have these conversations and they're strangers. You know, when I was taking the train all the time with you guys, I made friends from Brown University, someone from France, these two little boys that needed someone to get them to New York City because the relative hadn't met them at the train station. And Adam, who runs the train station over there, he's like, when I saw him recently, he's like, I really miss you. He says, you're such a good person. You always help people. And when I help people, I feel better. It makes me happy because I know I'm making them happy and maybe making a difference in their lives. I don't do it for money. I don't do it for any reason other than I know that's what we are supposed to do for each other. I just believe it in my soul. That's what I'm here to do, you know? And if I can do that for strangers, do it more for my husband and my family. And
Ooh,
I hadn't been doing that, but, now I do.
wow. I'm happy to hear that. It's funny. I got to tell the tale how you make it to be on, this platform with me because you spoke of the train and basically, Lady Alice and I, she used to come on the train and it'd be early in the morning. If I remember correctly, it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I think if I remember correctly, when she came on, I should speak to her. We would speak and she would say something smart, just like, just something smart to say
Hmm.
something. And I'm like, what's the deal with this woman? So
I never knew that.
yeah, so I love smartness now. So we'll go back smart at each other. It would just be okay. If I top you today, she's gonna top me tomorrow by saying something smart. This went on morning after morning after morning, and one day it was always a fun thing. And one day, we sat down and just started talking, and that's where the friendship grew because we sat down. And when she started to talk about herself, she started to talk about her marriage, and I heard the realness, when I heard the love, I heard the commitment, I heard the communication, when I heard the point of where you spoke of, I looked at myself and saw my flaws. I was like, man, this got to be shared. This has to be brought to the forefront, really, because you don't come across that every day. I'm being sincere when I say this. You don't come across this real. It touched my heart. And that's what I asked you years ago. Would you mind coming on? Because a lot of times we talk in circles, meaning we talk about, like you were with your husband early on, what they're doing. We complain about what they're doing. Very seldom we look in the mirror and look at ourselves. We don't. We're afraid to look in the mirror. What can I do to be better with this situation? What can I do to be better for myself? We've grown up to realize as long as we can basically point the finger at someone, it's okay, and
Hmm.
nothing changes. Nothing changes. And some of that to me comes from being a child. I bring that back to children because I remember, my kids growing up, and I go to my childhood. When something happened, if something happened in school, my parents didn't ask what happened. All they know, if something happened, they responded to it. They didn't ask. My mother, if something, very seldom, if ever, school will call home about me because I knew it wasn't going to be a case where my point, my position mattered. So as my children came up, when they would try to come, let's say they try to come and tell me, son, okay, I hear that. I want to know, what did you do? Because I want to put it
Hmm.
all together. How did you handle it? And I think a lot of times, us raising our children, whenever something happened, we rushed in to protect our children. We rushed in, they can't be wrong. So now you grows up as a child, you don't understand what role are you playing. You're looking at everyone else. This one did that, and they didn't do that. And you're a grown adult, but you understand. Okay, what part did I play in this? And that happens
That's
a
the
lot in relate. I'm sorry.
Now
Go
it
ahead.
happens all the time. I'm sorry to interrupt. All the time. My daughter was reading a story on online somewhere. I don't on Twitter, and this kid graduated, and his parents took him on a cruise, and his the son was saying, "Hey, we got to get back to the ship. The ship's going to leave," and they waved him off. The ship left without the parents, and they're asking him why didn't he make them wait for them? It's like serious, and people writing back saying, "Who's the parent here?" It's like
Thank
people
you.
don't take responsibility. They
Hmm.
really don't take responsibility for anything or their children's behaviors. It's crazy. I'm so glad I'm not raising children right now.
No, you're right. Because, and I remember that story. That was funny. That was absolutely funny. But yeah, and that's it. So now, if you're given that as a child, and you're raised up as an adult, you believe this is what's right.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't have to take accountability for nothing because this was they didn't do that, whatever the case may be. And you grow through life thinking this with this mentality. You're going from one relationship, one marriage to another with that same focus and attention, never thinking whatever you've done is wrong. It's just the other person, and
Yeah.
that's another reason when I hear you say I stopped and looked at me, I was like, wow, because even in the mere fact, going back what you said about the therapy, he didn't come with you. Now you could have went in there and point the finger all solely at him, solely at him, like
I
but you
didn't do it.
didn't, and I love
Mm-mm.
that. I love that. Basically, you went in there, and it was more so, and with that, you were able to see, and look how it lasted into 42 years, Sir Al. I mean, I don't know. I keep saying Sir Lady Alice. Look at that.
And it
Look
doesn't
at
even,
basic.
yeah, I just wanted to feel more in my soul. I felt empty. Something's missing. Something's not right. The way I'm thinking, the way I'm behaving sometimes, it's like something's not right, but I didn't know what it was until I started going. And then I just carry it on, and that's all I am now. That's who I am now. I want to make sure I'm doing the right things, um, just treating people fairly. And even if they do something I don't think is correct, like when I was working at Yale and at Pfizer, it's like, let's have a conversation. I'm all about the conversations. If something's not working, if we're butting heads with supervisors, it's like, what is there that, and I was never like this, is there something that I can change to make it better? That's what I say. Not like you're doing this, you're doing that. It's like, what can I change to make it better for you? Because they see that, then it's like, oh, you know what I mean? Because maybe I'm not perfect, but if there's something you need me to do, you need to let me know. That's it, in a
Yeah.
non-confrontational way.
Wow. There's a lot to learn from that. A lot to learn. I want to ask this though. It's a little bit off the path, a little bit, because hearing about your childhood and things that you experience, and like you said, there's much more that you ain't even touching base with. How have you basically moved through life? Really, I mean, beside your outside of your marriage, not letting that have an impact on you. And I know mentally, I'm sure some things you deal with. But if for me, when I look at you, the way you have lived, the way you have grown, when I could see probably you as a child to where you are now, and just to be who you are, to me, you had to find a way to basically see that for what it was, but not allow it basically put you in a place where in some mud that you wasn't going to pull yourself out of.
Um, that's a good question. I never even thought about. I didn't feel good mentally when I was in those dark places, having the dark thoughts in my behavior. I didn't feel good about it. And I said, there has to be another way for me to live my life. And what can that be? So then when I started, I was afraid to talk. I was very shy as a child. When people would talk to me, my legs would shake. But when I started opening up and just being myself and sharing and listening and talking conversations, I said, I have a lot to say. I remember thinking, I have a lot to say, and I need to open my mouth and say it. And once I started just talking to people and getting to know people and sharing who I was, the reactions, if they were good or if they were bad, I would just accept it and know that, well, that person wasn't good for me to be around. You said the thing about friends. I have in my life like 3 or 4 really good friends. That's all I need. I trust them with everything. They trust me with everything because when I've had people that I thought were I'm doing air quotes friends before, They go and talk about you behind your back, all that sort of stuff. I'm like, I refuse to have anybody like that in my life. I only surround myself with people that I trust and that trust me. You know, we're open, honest, and we're authentic people. That's what it is. My friends are authentic, and I love them, and I've known them for like 20, 30 years, you know?
Hmm.
So that's, yeah, yeah. I just didn't want to be that way. I didn't want to be in the mud and the darkness and watch people mimic people's behaviors that were bad that I'd seen or been a part of.
Hmm. How old were you when your mom passed?
12.
Wow.
You know how I found out? When she
Mm.
had asthma really bad, and I remember when I was maybe I really remember this one. I was like 2 or 3. I was leaning on the couch in the living room, and the paramedics were working on her. I couldn't see her because of the arm of the couch. I was just leaning there, and I wasn't afraid, but I saw her legs on the floor, and they were working on her, and I wasn't afraid. She had really severe asthma, and then when I found out she went to the hospital when I was 12, she was many, many times. We were at home waiting for her to come home, and the phone rang, and I answered it, and it was my grandmother, my father's mom, and she said, "Your mother died."
Mm.
Do you know? And then
Wow.
when my aunt, my mother's sister, and my sister crossed the street to come to the house, we were crying, and they said, "What's wrong?" I said, "We called her mama." She called and told me that mommy died. So I mean, I've gone through a lot of crap. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
A lot. I don't know
Wow.
if you my and I had a favorite uncle. And tell me if I'm getting off track. I
No,
had a favorite
please.
uncle. I had a favorite uncle. I loved him, Uncle Noah, and I would light it when he'd come. And he only, he held my hand. I sat on his lap, all this stuff, and I slept with him. My mom let me sleep with him, but then he was molesting me, and
Wow.
I was maybe five. Five. It went on for a while. Nothing, not no actual act of it. But I said to my sister a while ago, we actually stopped talking. I said, "You guys knew how he was. Why would you let me sleep with him? Do you know what I mean? Why?" So
Hmm.
see, I've gone through. That's where all the crazy came from. People that I love hurting me and doing things, and I felt guilty for a long time. When I went to therapy, that was one of the first things I wanted to discuss. I said, "I felt so bad. I felt so dirty and all that." And he said, "It wasn't you. You were a baby. You were a child."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's can you
Yeah.
imagine what John got?
Ooh.
What my husband
Yeah.
got?
Wow. Now he's a saint. He's a saint. He's definitely a saint. But
I know.
you know, he's
He's such a good
yeah.
man. He's such a good man. He has
Take
his
me
faults,
back.
but
Take me back to your mother passing at 12, and give me somewhat of a vision or a view from 12, and I believe, let's say from 12 to 18, because I'm assuming either you went to college at 18 or you went into the service at 18. So what kind of
I should
happened
write a
in
freaking
that?
book. He
Yeah.
when she died at 12, we went to live with my Aunt Ann. I mean Aunt Sarah. And she I think she was going through the change or something like that. She was kind of crazy. We would like she would make me take care of her daughter, Lakina. And like we were in the bathtub one time, I remember that. And Joaquina was not behaving herself, and I said something to her, and then my aunt came in and grabbed her out of the tub, and she said to me, you don't have to do that. She's got a mother." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the things that people say to you, you never forget. I mean, because I was young, I was 12 years old, and I remember that. It's like I can see it right now. So it's like I think my family was so screwed up mentally with their, emotions and things like that. I think she was. So anyway, we stayed with them for a little while, because my sister was going to get a place for us and move us out of there because she knew how we couldn't have milk and stuff. She would only want it for her daughter. She would just
Mm.
treat us badly. So my sister went to work. My aunt knew she was looking for a place. My father came one day after my sister left for work, and he said, "Hey, you're going down to New Jersey for a picnic." He took us and never brought us back to my sister. And when we were down there, it was all the abusive stuff with keeping the house clean and going to school with no lunch money. Although I know they were getting money for us, and he would lock the freezer with the good food in it. We get crap. Um, Yeah, yeah. So it wasn't good, and then I got pregnant with my son, and that was not a good relationship. I was on my own with him, and I decided because the guy that his biological father, my husband John, adopted him when he was 3 years old. His biological father was a cheater and horrible and stuff like that. So I said, I want a better life for me and Jason.
Hmm.
So I sold all my furniture. I had his biological father did watch him. He had a girlfriend there who loved Jason. She treated him really well, and he had a brother there with her. Um, and I sold all my stuff. Went into the military after I got out of boot camp. I had my sister bring Jason down to me, and then he was with me from then on. I didn't go to college until I went as an adult because I wanted to go when I was in New Jersey with my stepmother, but she wouldn't sign the paperwork for me to go, the financial aid and all that stuff, because she didn't
Mm-hmm.
want us to do better than she did or
Hmm.
her daughters did. Do you know what I mean? Do you see all this?
Yeah. Wow. No, I thank you
Yeah.
for sharing because it's amazing. Again, who you are. This is your foundation. And in spite of all that, look how you have risen.
And I have my master's degree,
Woo!
you
And
know?
yeah, and it's amazing because when people share their stories, you don't know who else is basically feeling some of the same things you have felt that may need to hear that. And I'm happy when people are not afraid or reluctant to basically step out and say, "This has happened to me." Yeah, you don't see this when you look at me, but this is what I've been through. And the word testimony is a strong word, but at the same point, it shows where a lot of us didn't come from good backgrounds, but we didn't allow that to be our excuse not to do better. Are you loving this episode? Have you ever thought of creating your own episode, like
I
having
don't
your
see
own
you have really
podcast?
good questions. You have very good questions.
Hang on one
And you
second, I got.
made just now, you know what? Just now, I feel so freaking good and proud of myself because it's like, no, you forget all
You
this stuff, and
should.
there's just so much more. So thank you. I'm thanking you because
Wow.
it makes me remember, and it makes me super not conceited but proud of where I'm at in my life. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Stop. After all I've gone through. So I have a loving husband. I have a good home. I'm retired. My children went to college and they inspired me to go to college. They were at my graduation and I remember my son was crying, and so
Hmm.
all in all, I have had a beautiful life, even though there have been those tragedies, those horrible moments. I have had a beautiful life and I'm thankful to be here and I'm thankful for everybody I meet and I'm thankful to you, Mark. I'm so thankful that we met and that we talked. And I still remember when you were trying to find a swimsuit for your little daughter. You were on the train, you were talking about I'm trying to find, do you remember that?
Oh yes, 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 yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I am thankful and if I had to go through all of that to get to where I am now, and I always say that, I would do it again to get to where I'm at now with
Wow.
my life.
Wow. Man, no, no, thank you because it's not easy. You make it sound easy. I know it's not easy, but even easy coming on here and basically opening up because you make it easy to hear. And one thing I love about the voice, in a sense, is that sometimes when you listen to, if you hear someone talking, you visually see them. Okay, you hear what they're saying, it resonates. But sometimes to me, when you just hear a person speaking, you can almost visualize what they're saying. So some things that when you're saying about your father, when he was sprayed the raid at 2 o'clock in the morning, and he got you and your sister out of bed to clean it up. I could almost see a picture or visualize a picture of an image of your little girl just wiping down stuff that shouldn't be doing it. And to me, it's a sense of realness that it kind of brings to someone's story. And that's what I love about, excuse me, part of the things about doing these podcasts because when we speak, it gives off an image, it gives off a thought, which could be, touching, it could be educational, it could be beneficial in so many ways. I got to take a second and I hate to say pay a bill, but back in back in my radio days, that's what we would say, pay a bill. Are you loving
Hmm.
this episode? Have you ever thought about creating your own episode? Like having your own podcast. What are you waiting for? Get started at podup.com. We're one of the sponsors of this podcast. We would love to someday sponsor yours. Starting as easy as creating an account at podup.com today. Podup literally has everything you need to run a full professional show. Podup has over 35 tools with AI integration to further help you succeed. Create a free starters account or get a paid account with 15% off with the code WhenBlackMenTalk15. So check out podup.com, or if you're wanting a podcast that's done for you, where you pay an agency to do all your website, social media, and editing work, check out podallies.com. Pod Allies is an agency run by folks that literally built the Pod Up podcasting software. Get started with them at podallies.com. Get 15% off when you sign up at Pod Up or Pod Allies with code WhenBlackMenTalk15. We can't wait to create with you and launch your own podcast. Excuse me. No, I'm grateful that we have a place where you can come on and basically open up and feel what you just felt. Because again, I go back to friendship in a sense where that's what friends should do for each other. Be a sense of place where you feel comfortable enough to basically say some things, feel an emotion, feel better, take something away that's fruitful. That's a friend. And that's what I was speaking of earlier. And a lot of times we have, a bunch of numbers. Oh, this person, you think, mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
They could smile in your face, but what are they really bringing to your life, and what are you bringing to their life? And as you said earlier, I love it when you said you like serving and helping people, and that's our point of being here on this earth. We don't think about that because we turn into a society of folks where, what is in it for me? What can I get? What value can I gain out of something? Not really knowing and thinking that we're here to help others. That's God's love. That's God's way to help others. And we're so far away from that. We're more into what can I get? What can I have? But no, and that's your heart. And when you think about again, your upbringing, you could have been so far away from that. You could have been
Right.
so far away, but again, by His grace, you're not. So no, I thank you. I'm glad you feel the way you feel about me because really, I mean, I sit back and I listen, and my heart goes out to you. But at the same time, I'm going to tease you if I ever get a chance to. I'm going
Oh,
to say
same
some
to
smart.
same for me.
I'm saying something smart where the case may be. None of that's going to change. That's just,
No,
that's
I
kind of
know.
that's cemented into the foundation. But I tell you, Alice, it's this, really, I mean, to listen. And even this time, you opened me up to some things and that I didn't hear last time. And it's like, wow. But I always remember hearing last time. And one of the things that struck me, and you said earlier about taking the shoes off, but when you said that, you got to the point with your husband where you would be happy when he pulls up when he come home. I'm like,
Still. I
wow.
always look out the window. I know the sound of his car. So I hear
Whew,
it coming and I look out the window, he's pulling in and I say, because my dogs love him. Our dogs love him. I'm like, Pawpaw, we call him Pawpaw. Pawpaw's here. And they go running downstairs, you know? Yeah, he's a
wow.
good man. I'm grateful and I'm thankful that we're together. And yeah,
That
that's
a
good.
man, from a man's perspective, to have that, that's better than money in the bank.
Yeah,
Honestly
I see
speaking, it
yeah,
is. It
yeah,
is
yes.
to be able to come home to that as a man, a woman is indeed too, but as a man, and I'm sure so many men walk home, they're not greeted that way. They're not looked upon that way. They damn near look at you like, what you doing here? Just pay the mortgage. Pay.
And I'm excited when he comes home. It's like, we talk all the time. Like he's at work and he'll send me, what are those icons when he's on this texting me? He'll text.
hmm
I'm not
hmm
really technical. And then we talk to each other when he's at work once or twice a day. So yeah, it's always good.
42 years.
He's my
I'm,
man.
I'm going to say that again. 42 years. At a time when, 50% of marriages, more than 50% of marriages end in divorce. And it just came out recently, more couples, excuse me, excuse me, more couples over 50 and 60s that been together for periods of time are getting divorced now. How, and I question that, how, you get to that stage with someone, and I'm not saying it shouldn't happen, How
Hmm.
do you get this? How do you been around someone for so many years and you get in your 60s and go, you know what? You go on and I'll go this way.
And we always
Because
promised each other we wouldn't kill each other. You know, you hear these crazy stories where the husband kills the wife or the wife. I said, look, if it ever is not working for you, just let me know. We'll divorce. But you don't have to kill me and I won't kill you. We say that sometimes. Seriously, why kill each other? Just go.
no, I agree. I agree. But who says that to their husband or their
We're
spouse?
crazy.
I'm
We're
just
crazy.
saying. I'm just saying. Who says that? Just divorce me, don't kill me. But you're right. I never understood that either because there's so much. I would think there's so much life after divorce, but not that I was trying to speak of divorce in a positive way, but I would think so. But it does amaze me somehow. Again, people get to that point in life to where they've been together now in your 50s. Like, you know what? And I can understand it from another point too, because you haven't been happy for all those years. And if one of those two doesn't know how to make things or start things off on a better path to be happy,
Hmm.
and the rest of the days you want to be on this earth, you choose not to be. I get that. I'm not totally against that. And I'm saying, not suggesting that people should just embrace it. But I am saying if you're with someone for that period amount of time, such as yourself, why not do things to make things better? So you can
Yeah.
basically enjoy the fruits of your marriage, of your love. Why not take it upon yourself, both parties, to do what you need to do to put yourself in a situation for that longevity to really enjoy? Because to me, if unless you believe in your mind, I mean, I'm just, I was married for a period of time and I got divorced, but unless you believe in your mind that you stood in front of God and it was a mistake, that you were just placed there, you didn't know what you were doing, you just kind of, found yourself dressed and decided to say that, then to me, I think if you're in it, you owe it to you owe it to our maker to basically do everything that you can to make it possibly work or be better. And if it can't, it can't. I get that. But to be in it and not really give of yourself, to be in it and not really partake and do what's necessary and go beyond the extra mile and give the effort, then you're kidding yourself. Then you
Right.
did get it. Yeah, you did get it for the expectations. You did get in there thinking that this is going to be this way, blah blah blah, and not looking and doing necessary. And that's what I think why the ratio is so high. People getting divorced because they get married in some cases for the long reasons, a lot of bad expectations. And again, they're lazy when it comes down to doing the work that's necessary for the improvement. They
I think you have to
are.
really want it. You have to, I think you really both have to want it, or you're stubborn like I was too. And it's like, I'm gonna do this. You know what I mean? It's like,
Hmm.
I can do this. We can do this. You know, we just have to open up to each other.
Well, you guys have done an awesome job, and I congratulate you too on 42 years of marriage. That's a testimony. That's a journey. That's a beautiful gift. I'm happy to hear it. Yeah, I'm happy. It does my heart good
Thank
to
you.
hear. No, you're welcome. It does. And, I'm happy for you. And yeah, I mean, you guys got many more beautiful days ahead of you. And I want to thank you again for taking time out to come on and talk. And listen, hopefully, it's gonna be the last time you come back on. We'll talk about something different next time. We won't focus
Okay.
on. Yeah, we'll talk about something different, but we'll get you back on again soon and talk about some stuff because you're good people.
Thank
You're
you. I
very
miss
yeah.
seeing you. I miss seeing you.
Oh, I miss teasing you. I can tell you that right now. If you know I love to tease.
You're like my crazy cousin, like my
oh,
brother. Ugh,
oh
yeah.
my goodness. See? It's funny how more people I grew up with my sisters when I was younger with them, they didn't feel the same way that you feel about me. Now they're starting to, but coming up, they're just like, that's how I find out. I've been the same. I'm a teaser. That's who I am. But you know what? It is what it is. I take it for what it is. But
Mhm.
I'll definitely get you back on, and at some point, we'll do something totally different. We'll make it much lighter,
Okay.
and yeah, have a good conversation. Hang on one second. I'll end this, and we'll talk a little bit more, folks. I want to thank you for giving us an ear on When Black Men Talk. We're going to continue to move forward and do different things, and I'm happy that we had an opportunity today to basically showcase true love because we talk about love, and a lot of times I hear the word love out there. Not often we put the word true in front of it. So when you're in a situation, you're in, male or female that's hearing this, try putting the word true in front of it. I know you tell your party, I love you, you love me, yeah, you love me, I love you. That's great. How about we take it up a notch and make it true love? It's going to be work involved. It's going to hurt, but it's worth it. With that being said, we'll get together real soon. Thank you for giving us an ear as always. May God continue to bless you because you know we love you. We'll talk to you in a bit.